Good morning and welcome to We the People Prepping. This is Dan. Okay, today's subject is solar panels and the desert. Okay, I read an article last night where they were doing models of what would happen if we populate our world's deserts with solar panels. Sounds like a good idea, right? I mean, desert, nobody really out there, lots of sun. Really good idea, right? Not as good as what you think. Okay. According to the models that they've done that would project the effects of solar panels in the deserts, like right now, a lot of our deserts have solar panels in them, but it's not a large majority. I mean, yes, we do have some large solar farms in the desert, but it doesn't cover a large swath of desert yet. Okay, so these models project that when you cover approximately 20% of a desert with solar panels, okay, 20%, that's really not that large of an area, but it is at the same time when you consider the amount of deserts around the world. Okay, they used the Sahara Desert as an example because right now there are plans to cover a large portion of the Sahara Desert with a huge solar farm. Okay, now when it reaches the 20% mark, it will change according to the models that they have. It would change the environment and climate of that desert. Okay, because see, when a solar panel itself only collects in about 15 to 20% of the energy from the sun. Okay, that's about the max that each solar panel collects. So you have 80% of the sun that's hitting that solar panel that is dispersed into actual heat. Okay, because of I'll take a look at a solar panel. A large majority of it is black. Okay, now the filaments that are in it are what are like silver and gold and stuff like that. It's actually a silicone or silicon or whatever. Anyhow, my point is that only 15 to 20% of the energy from the sun is actually transformed into energy. The other 80% is absorbed through the black on the solar panel and dispersed as heat. Okay, now think about that. You're actually going to be heating up the desert by collecting solar rays on these solar panels, and when it reaches a 20% coverage of the desert, that's going to be putting off a lot of heat, which will in exchange it will change the temperature of the desert. Now, underneath the solar panels will be more shaded, okay, and it will change the desert and actually make it greener. Okay, according to the models that they've done. So the atmospheric air will be warmer, but what's under the solar panels will actually cool down because the white sand doesn't absorb as much of the heat as what the solar panels do, so it'll actually be cooler down underneath the solar panels, which will in turn create a greening effect. But the heat that's dispersed from the solar panels will be put into the atmosphere and carried away by the winds, which will increase the temperature of the planet itself, which will also, according to these predictions, these model predictions, would change the flow of air around the world. Places that are now covered in ice will actually melt, and other places will cool down. So it's going to kind of flip the way that the jet stream carries the hot air and stuff. Okay, so according to these models, it'll actually increase the melting of the polar ice caps, because the way that the heat will flow will reach the polar ice caps and cause them to start to melt even faster. Okay, but yet this is supposed to be the green, save the world, end all, beat all of everything, But in reality, when you have large groups of solar panels, the air around that is going to heat up. Now, when you cover 20% of a desert like the Sahara, that's a huge desert. Okay, so you're talking about lots of acreage that's going to be covered by solar panels, and that's going to put off a lot of extra heat from the solar panels into the atmosphere. And the wind, like I said, will carry that away, and this will affect the weather patterns of the entire world. Even though the Sahara is over on the other side of the world from the United States, it's still going to affect our weather here in the U.S. It will totally change our weather patterns. There will be a lot more hurricanes, a lot more tornadoes, and rainfall, and so forth. Okay, so, while solar panels sound good, while it all sounds good, hang on here, got somebody that's about to back into my truck. God, newbies. She's going to take off the front end of my truck, ain't she? Oh, Lord. You cannot be serious. Jesus. Let them take off the front of my truck. Anyhow, back to what I was talking about. If you hear a big thud or a big crash, it's somebody trying to back in that's new at truck driving, and they've got a spotter out here to try to help them back in, but wow. I mean, they were less than 6 inches from the front of my truck. Yeah. Where was I? When you have that much heat being dispersed into the atmosphere, it's bound to wreak havoc. Because you think about how much acreage the Sahara Desert covers. Okay, I mean, it is a massive desert, and then you think about the amount of heat that will be being dispersed from these solar panels. You are actually increasing or speeding up the heating up of the planet. The very thing that you're claiming that you're trying to slow down, you're speeding up with solar panels. I mean, it wouldn't be quite as bad if the solar panels actually, took and absorbed and transformed 80% of the sun into energy, but it only actually does 15 to 20%. Okay, so we are, if they persist in this Green New Deal bullshit, where they're going to build massive solar farms around the world. Now, see, this solar farm in the Sahara, they're wanting to build it to provide electricity for Europe. Okay, they're claiming that if they cover 20 to 30% of the Sahara Desert with solar panels, that it would be able to produce enough energy to run a lot of Europe. Now, I'm calling bullshit, but it is what it is. My biggest concern is, if you're trying to save the planet, you need to pay attention to the models that these independent places are projecting, and pay attention to the actual science. They're always claiming, we're going to follow the science, Well, they have calculated in all of the scientific data that they can into this. They know how much heat is dispersed from a solar panel. They know how much energy is absorbed and turned into electricity. So when they factored that in, and they look at what happens to the heat from the solar panels, how it gets dispersed into the air and carried off by the wind, they analyze the wind patterns of the world, and they figured out where all that heat would get carried to and how it would change the environment. You're looking at places that are normally covered in snow will not be any longer, because the air will be too warm. It'll melt the ice off of there. Mountains that are normally covered in snow, the temperature will rise on the mountains and melt the snow down, causing flooding. And I will post the link to the article that I was reading, and you judge for yourself, and after you read it, judge for yourself whether or not you think this is a good idea. Personally, I think they need to come up with a better plan, because to change the temperature of the world and to change the airflow patterns of the world doesn't seem to be the brightest idea. They're making all these claims about how global warming is affecting our weather, or climate change now is affecting our weather patterns. They're blaming all the snowfall that we've currently got on climate change. Whereas I look at it as the natural cycle of the planet and the natural cycle of the solar system in itself. We are entering into a grand solar minimum, which means that the sun's not putting off as the flares like it would normally do, that would actually keep us at the temperatures that we're used to. Okay, which is going to affect our crops and everything else. Which, if they do these solar panels, that's going to affect our crop growing abilities as well. Because in some areas it'll shorten the seasons, and other areas it'll lengthen the seasons, cause droughts and floods, and I mean, it's going to be catastrophic, really. But you read this for yourself, make your own determination. I just thought that it was an interesting article and an interesting study that they're doing, and after reading it, it's kind of scary to think about what the actual effect on the world will be, and how everybody wants to ignore the actual science that these people are putting into these models. Because that the Biden administration isn't going to be paying any attention to this, even though they claim that they're following the science on everything. They've not followed the science on a damn thing. Otherwise, our schools would all be opened up already. You can't really say that the man lied during his run for president, because he said, "Oh, I'm going to open the schools back up within my first 100 days," right? Well, he didn't say how many days a week he was going to open the schools. So then people started freaking out. Well, they're only going to open the schools 1 day a week. He didn't lie per se. He just didn't give a whole truth. You understand? That's a politician for you. It's funny because so many people believe the bullshit. We all knew that he wasn't going to do what he said he was going to do. I have yet to meet an actual politician that kept his word on anything. Now, see, people say, well, Donald Trump wasn't a politician, he was a businessman, and the man did keep the majority of the promises he made, and he fought hard to keep them. Whereas other politicians, they'll make you a promise and they don't follow through for shit. Once they're in office, you no longer matter to them. Whereas with Trump, when he got into office, we still mattered to him, because his whole point was to try to save the United States, try to rebuild the U.S. to its former state, the way that it used to be. But you know, they don't want that. They want to destroy this experiment that we've got going on with the freedoms and bring us back under control of a government power rather than freedoms. But anyhow, this has been Dan with We the People. If you enjoyed my content, please hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, ring the little bell icon so you're notified whenever I upload new content. Share my content with other people. And if you feel that you want to help my channel out monetarily, feel free to do so. There will be links in the description as well. If you have any questions or subject that you'd like for me to do a video on or research for you, send me an email. My email is in the description as well. This has been Dan with We the People Prepping. Y'all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. Now, they've been trying to get this truck in the door for about 15 minutes already. And I don't know if you can see in my mirror there. Well, she's pulling forward now. How close she got to hitting my trailer. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. They've got another driver out there now trying to help this person to back in. It's there we go again, getting close to my trailer. This is pretty bad. This is one of the problems with the trucking industry, honestly, is they will make a trainer out of somebody that's only got about 6 months of actual behind the wheel experience. Okay, this is a major problem in the industry. So you got a new person training a new person on how to drive and back in, and a lot of times these new people are not good at backing themselves. So now they're going to train somebody that's only been in school for 3 weeks on how to back in a truck. So, you know, this is what causes a lot of the accidents out here. You know, I've always said, I used to be a trainer, but I had years of experience under my belt, though, before I started being a trainer. And I've always told my students that the hardest part to driving a truck isn't going down the road or making a turn. It's backing into a dock in a parking lot. That's where you're most likely to do damage to somebody. You can see in my mirror, they're finally getting in there. But this has been Dan. Have a good day. Bye.